Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I'm your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Corlin, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
I've got it all figured out today, girls. Oh my goodness. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Welcome to Lead Like a Girl. We've already had, 20 minutes of chatter before we started recording.
I feel like we've got like a superhuman strength of pushing play mid-cackle almost every time.
Me?
No, we do. You push play and we all start like something funny comes up and it's just the whole like first 10, 15 seconds of the last several recordings is just laughter and then business.
That way we don't have to worry about, our smile. It's like it's already in motion.
It's all natural.
If timing is a superpower, I think we have it.
Or is that the anti-timing?
It could be both. Okay, so for our listeners, thank you so much for listening to us. Thanks for subscribing. We did just update a little bit on our website so that you can hit the subscribe button and be able to look at our or subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is really fun because then you can see our cackling if you want to. Otherwise, and
YouTube.
The word on the street is no one can tell the difference between me and Corlin. So you know what? If you watch, you can see the difference between me and Corlin. We're the white ones.
Well, Jamie, I hear that you're the blonde, so they're going to be pleasantly surprised that it's Corlin.
I'm really interested to know why that is the case. But anyway, sorry, that was a throwback to the last episode. Like, Jamie, how many, or Jessica, you're my quote unquote white friends. Back to the thing. Okay, so YouTube channel, you can subscribe right on the website. We have merch for sale, great merchandise, guys. It comes quickly. It's very easy to purchase. Of course, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And what's really cool is when our marketing person, Hannah, makes that post, you can literally click on it and listen to the next episode. It's very, very easy. So thank you, everybody, for your comments and participating and listening to the podcast, and also for listening to all of our interviews, because we have had dynamic women on this podcast. Mm-hmm. We've talked about so many important subjects. So thanks to everybody for that.
You know what else I want to give a shout out? Well, I'm going to interrupt you. I have gotten 3 comments from 3 separate dudes listening to our podcast.
Hashtag shout out to the dude comment.
The dudes.
Thanks, dudes.
I know. And it's fun. It's fun.
No, and I get that too. And I appreciate that, because those are smart dudes, by the way, because from what I hear, smart men listen to women podcasts because that helps them in all the things that they do, because we're everywhere. So anyway,
that's what I hear. I hear that too. Okay. We were chatting for like 20 minutes, but I never even asked you guys, like, tell me about your weekend. What did you guys do? How was your weekend?
Wow. It went so fast that I can't even remember what, it was just stuff, chores, church, good stuff.
I just got back from a conference. It was fantastic. It was called the Goodness Gathering, which sounds completely crazy, but it was basically a representation of 20 to 30 businesses that are all trying to create generous cultures, generous businesses, and helping that transcend to their employees. And so I had 3 days of talking with people who are just about doing really good things. I am
oh my gosh,
so pumped. That's going to be probably another episode.
I was going to say, can you please have that be like our next episode and just tell us all about that and maybe some of the things you learned? Because that sounds very interesting.
Or how to get more people to stuff like that, because I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I want to go.
Yeah, it was good. It was
Oh,
really
I
good.
can't wait to hear
Which
more
is a
about
good
that.
segue into today's topic, by the way.
Is it though? Okay. All right. You know what, guys? We're talking about micromanaging actually today. And I don't know if you got my message, but I did
not.
Okay. I prepped them for my ice break fast question. So it's an icebreaker
Sorry.
or a first minute fast. And we're going to talk. So
What a surprise.
I know we talked about this a couple of times where we have mentioned we should really speak on micromanaging and is it a naughty word or is it a good thing? I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Okay, my question. What would your kids or spouse say that you micromanage the most with that? So
Well, this is
I
interesting.
have an answer already because Brett, my boyfriend, actually came up with this question. So what if you said to your child or your husband, okay, what do I do that's the most? Like, what's the thing I micromanage the most?
Well, that's easy. Cleaning up. Like,
Tell me
these
something
folks.
specific. I want to hear your story.
Well, and I don't know if you want to call this micromanaging, but
We
in
probably
our
do.
house, I've talked about this before. We have a cleaning day and we clean and we do laundry the same day every week. And over my dead body, are we going to miss a day? It's just not what we do. And so after you clean, there is an inspection and you either pass or fail inspection.
Is this also
Do you
with
have
your
a white-
spouse or is this
Do you
just
have
your children?
No, let me be very clear. Well,
Do you have tools to make sure like the t-shirts are perfectly like a square, or do you have a
no,
tape measure?
that's another show. I'm
Is there a
the
ruler?
worst folder ever. And when it comes to clothes folding, I prefer to hang everything. But no, Corlin, I do not pass or fail Will's cleaning.
Good for you.
Right.
Way to practice some self-control.
Yeah. Well, there's less to inspect with that.
Correct. Yeah, that's fair enough.
So that
Sorry.
is
It was, I had
so
For our listeners, we've got a shadow in the background in Jessica's house.
So pass or fail is really with kids. And the way, and I've raised two other boys like this. If you want to spend your entire Saturday cleaning the same toilet, I'm here for it. Then that's what we're going to do. Because you're going to do it and you're going to do it right. And you're going to do it until you get it right. So is that micromanaging?
I'm sorry.
I mean, I think it's also level of inspection.
I did write out. I got some definitions here.
Okay, so there's some things that I do that is probably people would say that's insane. Like I'll go through Harrison's phone not because I'm being nosy, but he has messages and plans and things like that don't transcend my schedule. So all of a sudden he'll say, we got to go do this thing. And I'm like, it's not on the schedule. So sometimes I'll just scroll through if he's been talking to something, like, is there any information? Like, so that's one thing, but I actually think of a different thing
That's
not just micromanaging. That is stalking.
That's
creepy. I know. It's helpful because I'm like, dude, what are we going to do? You have an appointment on Saturday. We're going to go to this thing. He's like, oh yeah, I got to do that. Like, okay, got it. Okay. But here's the thing is that we go out to dinner and it's so funny because
she skipped over that really quickly though. Yeah, she said it and then just like, I got to go. Okay.
Light me up. It's
well,
fine.
I'm over here and I don't even know the code to my husband's phone. Seriously. Like I have no idea. He told it to me 20 times.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. It was like kind of a few times here and there when things get crazy. But my real story is that when we go out to dinner, I'll order like a salad or something like that. I always I really want to eat the fatty fat thing, but then I always default to like the healthy. But then Harrison will eat a burger and he's like, the server will ask, so would you like fries, tater tots, or a side salad or soup? And he's like, I think I want, I'm like, fries. And he's like, fries.
You're like, carbs, all carbs.
And they're like, what what would you like? What kind of cheese would you like? He's like, I would like cheddar. Yes. And he's like looking at me because he knows that I definitely want a bite of his burger and I definitely want some fries or like his side.
Yeah.
But he's
That's
like,
so sweet.
That is so
Yeah,
sweet.
because Will would be like, no, order what you want. She wants a burger and fries.
he wants a burger and fries.
That's adorable. I love that.
So I love that that's micromanaging, and I didn't think that was. I thought this was, yeah.
It's like, I don't know what the fine line between being a control freak and micromanaging is, but I know that, you know, when you're talking about home and kids and husband and things like that versus like work, obviously it's a little
there's
different.
No HR here.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
HR.
I asked Brad, before we had this, I was going to send you guys.
Sounded like a complete psycho, by the way.
I'm HR.
Yeah, so I asked him, I'm like, I want to come up with like a really good, fun, whatever question. And he's like, he said that. He's like, well, why don't you ask, you know, what would your kids say? And then I'm like, oh, what about your kids or your spouse? And then I'm like, wait a minute, what would you say? And he's like, the sofa pillows. He's like, he said, you come in the room. He's like, you go around the whole house and every single thing has to be in the exact perfect spot. Like, yeah, I'm a minimalist. So my kids' nanny, I remember her telling me one time when they were young, she's like, I don't ever have to worry about the kids like getting into anything in your house because there's literally nothing in your house. She's like, there's like a table with nothing on it. Like you don't have anything in your house. But like I will go around and the pillows have to be right side up and they have to be fluffed and they can't be showing. And like the blanket has to be folded. And I'm just very much like that. And he equated that to like me being a micromanager. And I'm like, I think that's a control freak thing. Maybe it's related. I mean,
unless you expect for them to do it. Like I stopped doing that because I'm like, I don't care if you sit on the sofa or lay on the sofa, but freaking fix the pillows back when you get up. They were a certain way. Just put them back that way.
Yes. And I absolutely, my daughter, she's got chores in the house and like she will get done with her chores and I go downstairs and I'm like, if I don't see the lines on the carpet, I'm like, girl, did you do this? You know, or like I kind of, So I'm a little bit like you, Jessica, where like I'll go in and do the inspection. But for the most part, I'm kind of like, I'm going to show you once. I might show you twice. I might show you 3 times. But at that point, like, you got this, right? Like, I've shown you, and that's kind of how I would say the house personal life gets managed. Yeah. But it so relates work versus home. So,
but it's different at work for sure.
Oh my gosh. Exactly. So my next question, guys, what's the best way to make sure you never forget something at work? Micromanagement or a really aggressive sticky note? Like, how do you make sure you get what you need to get done at work? Make sure you never forget something at work.
Yeah, no,
I make notes. Everything.
Notes,
or I put it on my calendar. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the whiteboard.
Micromanaging is probably never going to be the answer.
Well, but do you micromanage yourself is where I'm going with this is like, are you micromanaging yourself or are you like, I'm going to give myself a note and expect myself to get it done?
Yeah, it's all about for myself, it's notes and all that. But I do have a confession before we get started here.
Before we get started, we're like 15 minutes in.
The confession I want to make is that in our DB world, I was a total micromanager, like 1000%. I don't want anybody to listen to this episode and like, what the hell is she talking about? She's a micromanager. No, I was very much so a micromanager. And part of that was just not knowing any better. And now that I know what I know, and I've been through leadership trainings and all of that good stuff, they're all right. And I'm sure we'll get into all the reasons why. I just want to put it out there that I'm a recovering micromanager. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud of that because I was the worst. That's all I'm saying. And for all of those people that I tortured over the years of being that, I am truly sorry and I apologize.
Do you know what I'm having a vision of? Do you remember that, that movie with Adam Sandler in it, where he's like, he calls up the guy at school. I think it's Billy Madison, where he was a total jerk to the dude, and he's like, I really want to say, I'm sorry, I was such a jerk for you. And it's Steve Buscemi on the other end of the line, and he crosses his name off of like, I'm gonna kill list. Somebody out there listening, just swipe Jessica's name off their list.
Yes, that is absolutely what's going to happen right now. Someone's going to, Jessica, you're going to live because of that. Good.
And I'm glad. So my confession, I'm past that. Thank you. I apologize for the interruption.
But I think that that's what happens, though. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why micromanaging is a thing, but it's lack of knowledge, lack of trust, there's just an insufficiency happening in the leadership when you have to micromanage somebody else to the extent that they can't do their job unless, or the perceived thing is that they can't do their job unless you're like constantly inspecting them.
Yes. Yeah. And Corey, you're really getting into like basically what I wanted to do with this episode is first, I want you guys to tell me what are the cons, and then let's follow it up with what are the pros. So
there's no pros. In my opinion,
there's some pros, I promise.
In my opinion, because the pros, I guess I just wouldn't call it micromanaging at that point, right? That's what I'm saying, because to me, there's no pros. But if we start with how do we define micromanaging, for me, it's that you're a control freak. So I'm not going to name any names, but I had a leader basically tell me in the beginning when she hired me, some people call me a control freak. I guess I am a little bit of a control freak. So right there, she was telling me that she was a micromanager. And you're a micromanager, and you're telling me you're a micromanager like it's okay with you, because that's what it is. What I wanted to say to her is, well, I'm a control freak too in my personal life and in my home, but in a professional life, I am not a control freak. So it's not okay. And she was exactly that. It was 2 years of hell with a total micromanager control freak. Yeah. That's what it was.
Is that so if you have to define micromanager, is that what your like official, like you're going to say, my definition is this person is a control freak? Or is there some other?
Yeah. And I would say just over my shoulder, right? Like we're not in the office, but there's still a way to be over my shoulder. Oh, yeah. And it is not, and you give me a task, and then it was either one of two things. It was either give me a task without clear direction and then set me up for failure and then whack me over the head with all the things that I did wrong. Or it was give me too much direction to the point where it's just like, then why don't you just freaking do it? Like every little thing was following up. Oh, why don't you do it this way? Or why don't you do it this way? Or you should do it this way. And it's like, okay, so at this point, you've done it. So to me, all of that is micromanaging.
I mean, going back to that, it goes back with the lack of leadership, because in that scenario, she has a huge problem with being able to give clear directions. And there's a lack of trust, and her ego and that desire to be a perfectionist is totally playing. Like the only right way is her way, which she wasn't able to communicate that to you. So nobody's ever going to win in that scenario.
Like clear communication, clear expectations, clear direction, like all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I learned is it wasn't just me that she didn't trust. It was herself. And here's the other piece too. It's the lack of confidence in your leadership. So she was also.
And I'm sorry, can you back up for a second? In your leadership, meaning like your leadership, lack of confidence in your own. No, I mean
the micromanager.
Yes, the manager's lack of confidence in her own leadership. Yeah, okay,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and and going back to something that Corlin said, and I believe that this was also this woman's first time leading leaders at the level that we were at, which has a lot to do with it too. So you have to understand in leadership that there is a difference between leading individual contributors as a leader or manager versus leading leaders. It's a different skill set.
Yeah.
And especially when it's your first time, you really have to understand what that looks like, especially, I mean, a team of veteran leaders. It's like even more so. If somebody makes it to this level and you have to micromanage them, it's like, no, I think you got the wrong people.
That's not the case. Okay, so we've gotten into it a little bit. I thank you guys so much for your descriptions of what you think micromanagement or how you feel micromanagers are described. So let's get into those cons. I mean, we kind of did a little bit already, but if you could give me like 2 bullet points of like what would be the 2 biggest cons of being micromanaged or micromanagement in general, what would be like the 2 kind of like this is why it doesn't work?
Well, I think you kill morale. That's certainly a big thing. I didn't enjoy coming to work every day. Matter of fact, I dreaded coming to work every day. So that's a big one. And I think that people don't realize that their micromanaging really disrupts someone's well-being and their mental health, because like I really had images of choking this woman out, and I don't want to feel that way about anyone. No,
It's like you're
I'm just being real.
But I think
I'm laughing, but I know.
But you're like constant. It makes you feel like you're constantly second guessing yourself. Did I do that right? Because they're gonna check my work. Did I do it right? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's,
even though
to me,
you're
that's one negative.
How about you, Corlin? What are a couple of the cons that you see for micromanaging?
Yeah, I think it absolutely kills innovation. It's taking the ability to think on your feet, have continuous improvement, because you have a fear of doing something wrong and you don't want to experience the wrath, the down talking, all of that comes along with that. I'll tell you a story. Like, this is really, I was thinking about this, prepping for this conversation, and I could feel myself getting mad again.
I felt the same thing.
I'm just like,
and I looked at myself like, I'm getting heated over here.
I know. Do you know what's interesting is a couple weeks ago when we had the conversation about being in abusive relationships, I had this realization. We talked about that. Like, how did I get here? I'm such a strong person. Like, how am I in this position? But real short story is I worked for this company and I was new. And what happened was I was printing out a report for one of our clients, and somehow I was sending out revenue details, and somehow part of their revenue totals did not get sent in this letter. And this letter came back to our office and came to my manager with the wrong data on it. And this manager lost it. I was new, just as a preface, I was newer to the company, didn't know the ins and outs of the company or the processes. This could have been an easy fix, resend the letter, but she looked at me and she's like, I cannot believe you sent this out, completely belittling me. And she's like, they're going to think we're idiots. They're going to think that we're careless. You need to go over there right now and apologize face to face. Yeah, Ooh. Literally. And I looked at her and I'm like, you want me to go over there and apologize? Like, physically go over there? I looked at her like she was like, I did not.
Can't you just recall the email?
I mean, it was a paper, but either way, but yeah. Okay. I mean, you think that, and she's like, Anne, you need to correct this document and bring her the correct document and bring it over there. And so I'm driving over to this building, just like thinking like, I don't even know what to say. Like, this is a typo on a piece of paper. And I go over there, and the thing at the end of the day, I go to talk to her and I apologize. And I'm sorry that this happened. I really, if this ruins a relationship, hopefully there's a way to make this up to you. And she was as confused as I was, that I was standing right there. I mean, it was the dumbest thing I've almost ever experienced. She was confused. She's like, yeah, that's all right. Well, just don't let it, let's not have it happen again. But all right, well, we'll see you at the meeting next week or whatever she said.
Oh my gosh.
It was completely humiliating. And I think when you talk about like what happens when you get micromanaged, you just like the experience is just, you lose your sense of empowerment. It's like good leaders empower you to change, grow, learn. And that was not that scenario at all. I just am like completely dumbfounded.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and here's another thing too. It's weird because this is the first time, and I'm thankful that That was the first time that I experienced a micromanager myself. And I even beat myself up and said, oh my God, is that what I was? Like, this is payback for how I was. But before that, I had my first, no, it wasn't my first, maybe my like second leader in corporate America. And when I find out who my leader was, everyone's like, oh my God, I feel so bad for you. I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, he sucks. He's the worst. He's a micromanager. When I say everyone, I talked to a dozen people that knew him, and everybody said that he was a micromanager. The strange thing is, my experience with this guy was completely different. I mean, he never gave me micromanaging, not one time. And I worked for him for 2 years. And so what I learned about him, though, was that he justified his micromanagement. Like, he felt there are some people who need to be micromanaged, and that was justified. But he knew in the door that he was able to read. I wasn't one of those people. Like, he never, I mean, barely. We checked in. I knew where to find the guy. He was a great leader, but micromanaging me just wasn't my experience with him. And so there's something to be said about that. And again, I'm not justifying him micromanaging other people, but there was a reason why he chose and he knew to handle me differently. And I never had that experience with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I've been in a couple of situations, like you're saying, where it is a situation where you're micromanaged. Like, I've had outside sales positions where I have a company car, for example. And I've worked remote for, as you guys know, I've worked from remote for like 20 something years, like way before COVID stuff and all that. I've worked remote, and I've been at positions where they watched your computer to see how many clicks, and I've been at positions where they had a tracker on your vehicle to see where you're going. And to be honest, I don't give a shit because I did my job.
I'm going back on what I said, because to your point, Jamie, when you asked about pros, all of those things made me who I am today, but I don't know that they necessarily work with the masses, and damn sure don't work in corporate America. Because by the way, did I mention there's HR? Yeah,
I would 100% agree with you. I think it worked for the three of us. I think we probably benefited greatly from that. I don't think it works for the masses. And I think that, yes, Corlin, to your point, like, as far as like, camaraderie and teamwork and just the value you feel from your job, like it takes away from that, I think. What about, first of all, do you guys have anything else to say about cons, or do we want to go to pros?
Well, pros are going to be fast for me because, again, I don't mean
Okay. All right.
Open, enlighten me. My mind is open.
I'm sorry. You guys go first. Corlin, pros? Nothing? Jessica, pros? Nothing? Okay.
We stand together on this.
I do have a couple of pros.
I was in the middle of a tickle in my throat, so I had my microphone muted, but I'm back now.
Okay, please. Do you have a pro for micromanaging?
A pro for micromanaging. I mean, I think you could slough it off as sales training. I mean, I think, like you said, there's a fine line between micromanaging and absolute control and trying to control the environment, which I feel a good leader has control over the people that report to them in a healthy way. But when it crosses the line, I think that, here's the thing is that to talk about this is that I feel like I have this list of 10 signs that you might be a micromanager. And you tell me if any of these things sound like they would be a pro.
Jessica.
Right.
Okay, you just quick.
Because I think it's excess. Anything in excess is not right. So go ahead.
Do you struggle to delegate? Is that a pro or a con? You guys relate to that?
Yeah, and that's a con.
You require constant updates.
That's a con.
You redo other people's work.
Oh my gosh, that used to get on my damn nerves. Again, just do it yourself then. I'm getting emotional.
She is getting emotional.
You rarely ask for other people's input.
Yeah. Yeah. Or feedback. Never ask for feedback. Never ask for feedback.
You never let anybody else make the final decision. You equate control with success. It says you feel like things will fall apart if you're not involved with every single step.
Not with work, but
It's like, come on now.
My household, maybe a little bit. I feel like I need to be involved.
Yes. Again, that's why I'm saying I don't know that it's not that black and white. For me, it's in my household, that's a whole different story versus in a work environment.
And here's the big one. You correct work instead of coaching. So instead of guiding employees to improve, you just take it over. And I think that
and you know what I call that? A lazy micromanager.
Truly, I mean, I have had a manager like that where it was like, I didn't learn anything. I was just told what I did wrong. It was never coaching. It was always correcting. And that is really disheartening. It's like all you want to do. It's almost like I feel like a puppy. Like I just want to please you.
Is this deja vu, or did we have this conversation?
No, I feel like a good example of that. Yeah. So like, I feel like the example for me, for this manager of mine, correcting versus coaching, that would have been a very, very easy coachable experience to say,
yes,
this is what happens. This is what can happen when we get these things wrong. This is how we're not going to do this in the future. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Instead, it was very public correcting, and it was humiliating. And the punchline of that whole story is I went home and I started looking for another job, like instantly.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there for
and you're
probably
right.
another.
And that's really the biggest con of micromanaging is you're not retaining people.
Correct. Nobody likes to work in that environment.
They don't want to stay. They want to move on to a place where they can be coached, where they can improve. I saw so I'm going to tell you, I have two pros. One of them, I was thinking about like just like training and like skill development. So like for new employees or like new team members who maybe they don't quite know the protocol, they don't know the ropes, they don't know exactly what to do every time, every minute, every whatever. And this stems a little bit from me mid-life, mid-career, starting a new field and being in a position where I wanted to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Because I did not know what to do. So it was like, please guide me. Please tell me every move to make. I saw this meme the other day where it was like a teenager that's like, oh, that teenager knows everything. It's like, no. Now that I'm 40, can you please tell me every single move to make all the time, every day, always? Yeah. I know, So I do think that is one situation where micromanaging can actually work, where it's like, no. It's my first 6 months in a new career. And I would really love it if you would provide me with some guidance and some structure and some, help me develop the right skills that I need to make the moves that I need to do to be successful in this position. So I do think that is a pro for micromanaging.
But I don't consider that micromanaging. I consider that coaching and training and guiding, all of the positive words that you said. There is a place for that. I don't consider that micromanaging.
Fair enough. Maybe that's not. Maybe that's just a different thing. I just kept thinking of like...
But again, that's going back to that DB world. That's instilled in your head that training and all of that stuff that you got when you first started, eventually that it turned into micromanaging. And maybe that gives you a false sense of micromanaging. But everything you just described, nothing's wrong with that. And you're the type... I'm going to lead you, guide you, show you, teach you, all of those things. That's what good leaders do. And then I always tell people, and when you got it, let me know and I will take the training wheels off and let you go. I'm going to listen for you. And when you tell me that, until you tell me that, I'm here to help you. And so I think that's the difference. And maybe we'll get into the communication part of it, but that's key. That's communicating to say, thank you so much. I got it now. I know where to find it.
I found myself in a new position a little bit craving a bit of that because I still do ask people, will you please check my work? Because I'm not quite confident enough because of this new industry, or like,
but would you rather, or do you want them over your shoulder?
honestly, in this day and age where I'm at in my career, no one's doing that. No one's over my shoulder. And I'm like, where are the people? Wait, can someone help? Like, can someone make sure I'm not screwing up? I don't want to build a building that's wrong. I don't want someone being in a building and I'm be like, hey, I built that. And they're like, why is it crooked?
All right. Hey, I'm with Jessica on this, is that I don't think that what you're asking for is micromanaging. I think that you're just asking for help.
Maybe that's
Which is okay.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
And that might be the other pro then that I was thinking of. And maybe I'm completely off in this topic. Because the other topic I was the other pro that I was thinking of is, I'm not going to call myself a control freak, but yes, I want to be involved in everything that goes on in my household. Like, I want to know where I plan everything. Like, everything runs through me. I want to know what's going on. I pay the bills, the finances or whatever. I know when to plant my seeds, and I got my whatever. Dinner's ready. I'm good. But as you guys know, just personally, I'm stressed. Like, mom died 5 months ago, got the will stuff, got the things, just new job, all the things. And there have been quite a few times where I am just like, I'll tell Brad, my significant other, I'm like, I don't want to make any decisions or do anything today. Can you just decide everything that happens today?
Yeah.
And it's it's like a weight. And I don't think that's a micromanagement thing. I think it's a control thing. But still, I kind of think of it that way, where you can go, okay, somebody else is going to manage this. Like, somebody else is going to make sure I don't mess anything up. Somebody else is going to check my work. Somebody else is going to whatever. And I can just like get a little stress off myself. So those were honestly the two pros that I was thinking of.
You just made me think that I think this is an opportunity for a whole nother episode, because the micromanaging and controlling of the household, I think, is a whole nother show. And I'm glad you brought it up.
We
because
did kind of combine them a little bit, but
right. But it is a form of micromanaging. And my husband tells me all the time, like, why are you always micromanaging? He's talking about in the house, or he's like, I'm not your freaking assistant. Like, you need to find a real assistant, and it ain't me. And so that's another, I think that's another show. But I want to make sure that we don't leave without talking about, I want to be able to really support the listeners that are really dealing with or may in the future encounter micromanagers. Like, what do we do? Like, how it's serious, because again, for me, it really, all I could say is it messed with my mental health. It put me in, and 2 years to me is like a long time to be in an abusive relationship, because that's what it was for me. So, I love what Carla Harris, I'm a huge fan of the author and speaker Carla Harris, and she talks about micromanagers. And I love this thing that she says about getting in front of them. And she says, before they could come to you, go to them, communicate and over communicate. Now, she didn't say this, but I was thinking, I love that, because I'm going to get on your nerves communicating so much so that you may say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to leave her alone. And so she mentions getting in front of it. So going to your micromanager and saying, hey, just wanted to give you some updates. I'm working on this and I'm working on that. And this is really going really well. And I'm so excited about this. And if you can do it in the door as soon as you know that you're dealing with a micromanager, when you start the relationship, the better off you are. But even if you got to start now because you just learned this strategy, I love that strategy that she said. And that is communicating. And then the other one I'll say is really, you have to create boundaries. Okay. These people will call you, text you, email you after hours is the number one thing that micromanagers do. They have no boundaries. And so don't answer. Don't answer. I wish I would have done that sooner. Don't answer. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I see the emails because I know I'm looking at them before I go to bed. And that's just how I work. But I should have not answered the very first one that I got at 9:05 and at 7 o'clock. That's when I start my day. hey, I noticed that you sent me an email on this after hours. You see what I just did? I want to make a point to let you know it's after hours, ma'am.
Mhm.
And then go on to finish that. So those are some nuggets that I got from just Carla Harris and her talking about micromanaging. And then the last big one is you have to speak up for yourself. If it gets to the point where it's toxic and it is really messing with your mental health, I wish I would have spoken up sooner. But the reason we don't speak up is because we're afraid of retaliation. And here's the thing, what I decided a long time ago is that I was going to be in charge of my narrative and I was going to build a brand where the important people knew who I was. So if someone wanted to build a narrative that wasn't true around who Jessica Smith was, you're just going to make yourself look stupid because they already know who I am. So and that's exact that way, when something is happening that I have to actually speak up for myself and I have
Mhm.
to go to someone and say, hey, this is not okay. And I've tried to have conversations with this person. I've tried to bring it to their attention because I'm not just running to HR, by the way. And I've done this, this, and this, and nothing works. I have to speak up for myself
Yeah.
because not only I can get another job and get out of here. And I had a mentor tell me this, but what about the people that you leave behind? That this person is then someone else maybe that doesn't have that ability to bring their own brand and speak up for themselves and have the, the network that you have. What about those people? You have an obligation as a leader to speak up for those people that can't speak up for themselves. So I want to make sure that I leave you guys with that. That's my 2 cents. I'll get off my soapbox now because
I love that, Jess, because I think the continuity or the thing that screams in all three of those points that you made is that the option for you to stay in your space is you have ownership of the space that you're in and you just need to be proactive. You
yep.
can't sit back and let things happen to you. You have to speak up and talk for yourself and make moves. Talk to them first, do that so you are in front of them first and covering your bases, right? And you hate that that's the situation that you have to be in, but that's how you can move. That's how.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it'll take a toll on you.
Yeah. I would say my takeaway in this conversation is really we're dealing with managers that have an ego-driven perfectionist challenge, and when that transcends your teams, you can't have perfection and have people be you can't demand perfection and people are going to be scared that they're always going to be falling short. And
Yeah.
that's not a way to build up teams. You can't build positive, strong, flourishing teams through fear.
You guys just inspired me to create a talk on micromanaging. So thank you.
Isn't that what we just did?
No, like a whole thing, like, I don't know, like a TED talk. Like I just needed to go to people and them say, oh my God, that's me. I got to be better. Something.
That's what we're here to do.
We went a little long today, and I hope that you all really enjoyed the conversation of micromanaging. I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Lead Like a Girl Lab. Our website, leadlikeagirllab.com. We are starting also to do some speaking engagements. So if you want to check it out, or if you know an organization or place, a person, a thing, or whatever that may need someone to come and speak, let us know. We're really excited about the guests that we've had, and we want feedback. We want to hear, what do you guys want to hear about? What do you want to talk about? Or maybe you want to come on the show and just share your story of empowering everyday women with us here at Lead Like a Girl. So thanks for listening. Until next week, we're out.
Thanks.